Hey everyone, it's Luke here from LT Gaming and welcome back to you LT Gamers. Today, I'm doing a should you buy of Jagged Alliance 3. The game is coming with a lot of hype after its predecessors, which I have to say I never played. I looked back into my Steam catalogue and I did own one of them, so maybe I'll go back and check it out. But overall, I want to say from the beginning, I don't think people are going to be disappointed with this, although it does have some issues for me. Now, I was taking a couple of days off the channel while Tom worked on the Xenonauts 2 Should You Buy when someone came and offered me a copy of this game. I decided to jump in. I've played around 5 hours and I wanted to see if the hype was real. So this was quite a quick turnaround on this video and I decided to go down the route of a Should You Buy, which is a bit more of a general first impressions and whether you should pick the title up. I think this makes sense. As a deeper review, I usually like to play 10 plus hours and get into the late game. As a result, I've grabbed a blue Raspberry Prime and I'm sat here this morning ready to record and I'm going to give you my impressions of Jagged Alliance 3. Here we go. Jagged Alliance 3 is a turn-based tactical game with a strategy overlay. It is set in a fictional African country when an elected president goes missing and a paramilitary force known as the Legion seizes control. The role of the player is to hire mercenaries, meet interesting characters, and fight in a tactically deep, turn-based combat in this successor to a beloved franchise. And as I understand it, this really is a beloved franchise. I was talking to a colleague last night who explained to me the humour and excitement of the other Jagged Alliance titles. The game will release on the 14th of July and is published by THQ Nordic. I also noticed that the developer is the same developer who made Stranded: Alien Dawn. This excited me as that game came out of the blue and I really enjoyed it. The gameplay in Jagged Alliance 3 is made up of the strategy overlay map where you manage your mercenaries, look after their health, send them on R&R and other activities. You also go through an email system which I really enjoyed and it keeps you engaged and immersed in the world around you. You can then go down to the tactical layer where different story elements and also battles and challenges will play out in a tactical turn-based mode. I found that the two layers of gameplay interacted really well, and I enjoyed particularly managing my mercenary company and their struggles from the strategy layer, planning out my next moves, and then engaging in the tactical level battles. A lot of the actual action takes place during these battles, and I have to say the graphics are both vivid and interesting. I was a little bit disappointed with them, but I saw that they were set to medium and I upgraded that to high and things started to look a lot better and brighter. The landscape of Africa that you play out in is colourful, interesting and really did catch my attention. There is a good diversity in the makeup of the land that you fight in and there are some deep, dense jungles, beaches and also the sandy environments. There are even some really interesting village environments and some urban industrial built up areas. Overall, I have to say, the graphics, while not mind-blowing, do a good job of portraying the type of game this is trying to be. And that is a tactical, violent game with a very humorous approach. Now, I do have some issues with the humour, and no, I'm not easily offended, the jokes didn't offend me, and I know people are going to love some of this throwback humour, but I found some of the transitions between the laughs and then serious content a little bit jarring. Now, I want to avoid spoilers, but for example, I just finished a mission. There was a lot of humor on this mission and silly things happening. I power punched somebody with my special ability, but then someone was brutally killed as a result of one of my decisions, and it just felt a little bit strange. It's the only way I can really describe it, that the game is trying to portray a very serious story, but with a lot of humorous elements. I guess there's a dark humour in the game as well that a lot of people are going to love. Like I said, I'm definitely not against the humour, but it can be a little bit of a strange transition. Managing your mercenaries from the beginning is portrayed through an email system, and it's a very cool way to do things. The various mercenaries available will give custom replies, tell you who they want to work with, and even refuse to work with others. Importantly, you can actually create your own mercenary who joins for free. You just have to pay a fee to answer some questions that help create this particular character. Once again, this is completely interlaced with crazy humour and wacky answers, so those who enjoy that sort of thing, yeah, you're gonna love this element. Right everyone, if you've got this far, please drop down below and give us a like, subscribe to the channel and leave us a comment. Me and Tom really appreciate the trajectory of the channel and we're very excited about where we're going. Let's get us to 5k, help us out. So I can confirm to you, the strategy layer, the tactical battles and the creation and management of your mercenaries all live up to expectation and are excellent in this game. My first challenge comes with the UI. During the tactical battles, it was particularly noticeable. I would often make misclicks, not really have much information about what was going on, but equally it made me think about what I needed to do next, and it left it kind of open-ended about the choices I needed to make. But I will say, the UI does need some work and improvement. It just isn't quite there yet. The game is also extremely challenging, but I think you can look at this two ways. For me, the key element is whether I get frustrated with the game, and that did happen a couple of times, especially when there are sudden difficulty spikes in tactical areas that you enter. Often, the best approach is to retreat and come back later with a stronger squad. I have to say, on this side of things, I think Aliens Dark Descent did a better job of ramping up the challenge and managing that time element. I felt constantly under pressure in this game, and I think that is one of the mechanics, whereas in Aliens Dark Descent, I felt I was able to manage that better. I also felt refreshed by the real-time tactics with pulls of the Aliens game, going back to the XCOM style. I mean, there are some things that just break immersion. I mean, running up to another character and opening up with an AK-47 and they just stand there and take some damage, whereas in Aliens, this was way more realistic. The truth is, although I love strategy games, I've never been much of an XCOM fan, so the combat, no matter how they dress it up in this game, remains in that style, and maybe that just didn't gel with me right. But overall, I would be lying if I said I didn't really enjoy the combat in this game. It was fun, the UI, like I said, works against you, but it is awesome, and there's different dynamic elements that happen, but do bear in mind it's extremely challenging. During my playthrough, I was able to collect a large amount of different weapons and equip them to my characters. And it has to be said, the mercenaries and characters you meet in this game really are its core. Depending on who you picked for your squad, there will be different responses when you speak to people, and there are some very funny interactions with NPCs that result in different actions happening on the map. I don't want to give any of these away, but there's some really comedic moments. So the game really has to be praised on its storytelling and RPG elements. It felt really dynamic and it really pulled me in, and I think that's very important for the longevity of this game. I want to go back and see what my other choices would have done. And that's where we touch upon the replayability of the game. It's rated at approximately 50 hours for one playthrough, depending on how your playstyle is, but then like I said, you can go back, pick different mercenaries for your company, take different routes through the game, and make completely different choices. The game is going to come in at €44.99 or your regional equivalent. The reason me and Tom give prices in euro is because we both live in the EU. Although this price is on the upper scale, I think it's reasonable for the amount of content that you get with this game and the quality of the product. I've had some information that the game will receive a day one patch which will fix a number of bugs already. Let's hope they continue with that level of support. Before I conclude this, I think it's really important to touch upon the multiplayer aspect. You can play this game in 2-player co-op. How cool is that going to be? Of course, during my time with the game, I never got to experience that, but I can see how it's going to be a huge amount of fun and a real selling point. So well done to them implementing that within the game. Just before the conclusion, I'm going to give you a couple of tips. When you first start out, I would definitely recommend taking a person who's skilled in medical, marksmanship, mechanics, and definitely take someone who is able to handle explosives. Very important for one of the missions and a lot of fun. Manage your resources carefully and always be aware that there is that time pressure. So overall, I've got to give my opinion on whether this is a game you should buy, and I definitely think that it is. Given the price, the quality of the content, and the longevity of the gameplay, it's definitely something that you can sink your teeth into. Like I said, there are some issues with the game. I think the graphics are really just mediocre. The UI is poor and works against you, and there is some frustration with the challenge elements in the game. I also don't think that this tops Aliens Dark Descent, which is heading towards being one of my games of the year, but I see it growing on people and being a real sleeper hit. The game is excellent, and I really would put it in that 8 out of 10 category. If you're a fan of the XCOM style combat, it may even push higher. So there we go, LT gamers, it is a definite recommendation. Jagged Alliance 3 is a very good game. I've been Luke from LT Gaming. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.